So let's talk about something that's, absolutely fundamental. What happens when your basic rights are violated? Who's supposed to step in? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on a really important but maybe not so well known institution, Pakistan's Ministry of Human Rights.
Just think about it for a second. If something happened to you, if your rights were being violated, who would you even turn to? It's a scary thought, right? What's the first step? Who do you call? Where's that, front door to getting help? Well, in Pakistan, a big part of the answer comes down to these four numbers. And believe me, this is way more than just a phone number. For a lot of people, it's a lifeline. It's that first crucial step. So, what is it? All right, let's dive right into that. We're going to start with this number because it really is a critical lifeline. It's often the very first and most important point of contact between a citizen and the Ministry of Human Rights. So that number, 1099, is the ministry's official toll-free helpline. And that's key. It's completely free to call. Anyone in the country can pick up the phone and get direct legal advice if they're facing a human rights issue. It's designed to be that immediate, super accessible first step, especially for folks who have no idea where else to go. And they've actually made this lifeline even more accessible lately. They've extended the hours in a big way. We're not talking just 9 to 5 anymore. It now runs from early in the morning to late at night on weekdays. And that's a really practical change, right? It shows they're trying to be there when people actually need them, not just during standard business hours. But, a helpline is just the start. The ministry is also really leaning into technology. They're creating some modern solutions for some very modern challenges, building out a whole suite of digital tools for justice. And this first one is a really big deal. They've launched Pakistan's very first digital directory for victim support services. So think about this. Instead of just getting advice over the phone, you can now go online and find the exact right organization to help you. We're talking both government agencies and NGOs. It connects you directly to the specialized help you actually need. Then there's this. Alongside that directory, they've launched a tool for what has to be one of the most terrifying things a family could ever go through. It's called the Awaz App, and it's specifically for reporting missing and abducted children. The whole point is to get that critical information into the right hands as fast as humanly possible, right from your phone or computer. And look, the ministry's work isn't just about reacting to problems after they happen, putting out fires. It's also about being proactive and enforcing policy. A really great example of this is their push to make sure companies are following the 2% disability quota for employment. This is where you see them working on a bigger, systemic level to protect people's rights. Okay, so that's a snapshot of what the ministry is doing now. But to really get why it's so important, you kind of have to look at its history. And let me tell you, it's been a rocky road. A real story of being created, then torn down, and then built back up again. So it all started back in 1995. The ministry was created, but pretty quickly it got downsized and just kind of absorbed into the Justice Ministry. It lost its budget, it lost its focus. You know how political priorities can shift. It wasn't until 2008 that it was brought back as its own standalone federal ministry, ready to actually do the job it was meant to do. And in those early years, honestly, the perception was not great. You can see from this assessment by the U.S. Department of State that observers just didn't see it as being very effective. And when you think about it, that makes sense, right? If you don't have your own budget or real authority, you're basically an agency with no teeth. You just can't make a real difference. But wow, the transformation since then is pretty dramatic. We're talking night and day. The ministry went from a tiny budget that relied on donors to a pretty substantial government budget. It went from slowly handling things case by case to launching these big, nationwide digital projects. It's just a complete shift in its scale and, more importantly, its impact. So, what does this new and improved ministry look like on the inside? Let's take a quick peek at how it's structured and what its official mission really is. Okay, so at the top, you've got the key leadership, the federal minister and the federal secretary. They're the ones setting the big picture strategy and making sure all the day-to-day stuff actually gets done. Now, this is really important to get. Their job is huge. The ministry doesn't just work on its own. It's more like a giant umbrella. It oversees a bunch of other really vital national commissions, the ones focused on women, on children, on human rights in general, and even special education. And this all feeds into their official mission. See, it's not just about helping people after something bad has already happened. The bigger goal is to help build a society where these things are less likely to happen in the first place.
It's all about promoting a culture of respect, of tolerance, of equality, and making sure people actually know what their rights are. All right, so we've looked at its tools, we've gone through its rocky history, and we've peeked inside its structure. Let's tie this all together now. What's the big picture? Why does having a strong, effective Ministry of Human Rights matter so much? Well, if we boil it all down, it plays a few really key roles. First, it's that direct lifeline thanks to the 1099 helpline. Second, it's a digital innovator, creating apps and online tools to modernize how people get help. Third, it's a policy enforcer, making sure important laws are actually being followed. And finally, it's a national guardian, watching over the commissions that protect women and children. It's really working on a whole bunch of different fronts at once. And that really leaves us with one final big thought. The work of an institution like this, it's not just about government bureaucracy. It goes right to the heart of a really fundamental question. Having a strong Ministry of Human Rights is a mirror, reflecting how much a country is truly committed to its own people. And it makes you ask, doesn't it? How can any society really measure its progress, if not by how it protects its most vulnerable citizens?